1908. A kitchen in Dresden, Germany. A woman named Melitta Bentz is tired of drinking coffee with grounds in it. She tears a piece of blotting paper from her son's school notebook, places it in a brass pot she has punched holes through, and pours hot water over the coffee. It comes out clean. Clear. Without a single ground. She patents it the same year. She founds a company. She names it after herself. You used her invention this morning. You will use it tomorrow. And the morning after that. You have used it every day of your adult life without knowing her name. Sit with that for a moment. That is not an accident. That is a pattern. And it has been happening for longer than anyone has properly accounted for. 15 women. 15 inventions still in your life right now. 15 names. Some were erased, some were buried. Some were credited to someone else. And some built things that outlasted them and are still not in the textbooks. Number 1 will reframe everything that came before it. Subscribe before we start and stay until the end. The last one is not a woman. It is the shape of what we will never know. Counting down from 15. Number 15. Alice Parker, 1919. Central heating. It is winter in Morristown, New Jersey. The year is 1919. Alice Parker, a black woman educated at Howard University, files a patent for a gas-powered central heating system that uses individual ducts to carry heat to different rooms. The direct predecessor of every forced air furnace operating in America today. No one builds it. The patent expires unused. The manufacturers she approached were not interested in doing business with a black woman in 1919, and they did not say so directly because they did not have to. Here is what happened anyway. The principle she patented, individual zone heating through a duct system, became the foundation of modern central heating. Other engineers built on it. Other men filed patents that owed their existence to hers. The system spread across the country. By the middle of the century, America was warm in winter in ways it had never been before. Alice Parker has no monument, no street name, no entry in most history textbooks. The furnace running in your basement right now is the distant descendant of a patent filed by a black woman in New Jersey in 1919 who could not get a single manufacturer to return her letters. Her name is Alice Parker. Say it once before we move on. Number 14 is in your kitchen right now. Number 14. Josephine Cochran, 1886. The dishwasher. She didn't build it to liberate women from housework. That is the story people tell now, and it is a cleaner story than the true one. She built it because her servants kept chipping her good china, and she was tired of it. Josephine Cochran was a wealthy socialite in Shelbyville, Illinois. She had the dishes, she had the servants, she had the dinner parties, and she had enough. She went into her shed, measured her dishes, designed a wire rack to hold them, built a copper boiler, and created a machine that shot hot, soapy water over the dishes from below. She filed the patent in 1886. She showed the machine at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago and won the top prize. Hotels and restaurants ordered it immediately. Individual households did not. It was too expensive and required more water pressure than most homes had. She spent the rest of her life running the company she founded to build it. After her death in 1913, the company was eventually acquired and became part of KitchenAid. The machine that sits in 80% of American kitchens was invented by a woman who wanted to protect her china. She died before most American households had one. She built the industry that would eventually make her invention universal, and is remembered, when she is remembered at all, as a curiosity, a wealthy woman who built something in a shed. Her name is Josephine Cochran, and her machine washed your breakfast dishes this morning. Number 13. Mary Anderson, 1903. The windshield wiper. In the winter of 1902, Mary Anderson, an Alabama woman visiting New York City, boarded a streetcar during a sleet storm. She watched the driver stop the car, get out, wipe the windshield with his hand, get back in, and drive on. Stop. Wipe. Drive. Stop. Wipe. drive. She went home to Alabama and designed the solution. A rubber blade on a spindle mounted outside the windshield, operated by a lever from inside the car. She filed the patent in 1903. She tried to sell it to a Canadian manufacturing firm. They wrote back that the device had no practical value and they were not interested. The patent expired in 1920, unused, unlicensed, uncollected. The same year, Cadillac made windshield wipers standard equipment on every car it made. She never made a cent from it. Every car on every road in every country on Earth uses a direct descendant of the device Mary Anderson designed in 1903. Every driver who has ever turned on their wipers in a rainstorm owes that moment of clear visibility to a woman from Alabama whose patent expired before anyone bothered to pay her for it. The next time it rains, turn them on. You know whose they are now. Number 12. Hedy Lamarr, 1942. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. GPS. You know her name, possibly as an actress. MGM contract. Called the most beautiful woman in the world. Films in the 1930s and 40s. That version of her story is the one that was told, because it was the version that kept her in her place. Here is the other version. Hedy Lamarr was born Hedwig Kiesler in Vienna in 1914. Her first husband was Friedrich Mondel, one of the largest arms dealers in Europe. She attended his business dinners. She listened to his conversations with munitions engineers and military officials. She filed the information away. She escaped the marriage in 1937 by drugging her maid, disguising herself, and fleeing to London. In 1942, working with composer George Antheil, she co-invented a radio guidance system for Allied torpedoes that used frequency hopping, rapidly switching between radio frequencies to prevent enemy jamming. She donated the patent to the U.S. Navy. They declined to use it and classified the research. The patent expired in 1959. In the 1980s and 1990s, engineers developing spread-spectrum communications, the foundational technology of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS, built directly on the principle she had patented 40 years earlier. She received no royalties. She received no recognition until 1997, 3 years before her death, when the Electronic Frontier Foundation gave her a Pioneer Award. Your phone connects to the internet using a principle invented by a woman who was remembered for her face. She was one of the most consequential engineers of the 20th century. She is listed in your phone's Wikipedia entry as an actress. Number 11. Stephanie Kwolek, 1965. Kevlar. She was told the experiment had failed. The liquid polymer she had synthesized was cloudy and thin, not what a viable fiber should look like. Standard procedure was to throw it away and start again. Stephanie Kwolek did not throw it away. She persuaded a colleague to spin it through the fiber-making machine anyway. The resulting fiber was extraordinary, 5 times stronger than steel by weight, extremely stiff, flame-resistant, and lighter than fiberglass. She had invented Kevlar. DuPont patented it in 1965 and spent years developing commercial applications. Tires, racing car bodies, aircraft panels, cut-resistant gloves, suspension bridge cables, and bulletproof vests. The vest worn by every police officer in America. The vest worn by soldiers in every theater of war since the mid-1970s. Researchers estimate that Kevlar has saved over 100,000 lives in law enforcement alone. Stephanie Kwolek received the DuPont Lavoisier Medal, the National Medal of Technology, and the Perkin Medal. She was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 1995. She is not a household name. She should be one of the most famous scientists in American history. A police officer went home to their family last night because of something Stephanie Kwolek almost threw in the bin. Number 10. Dr. Patricia Bath, 1986. Sight. In 1986, Dr. Patricia Bath invented the laser phaco probe, a laser device that vaporizes cataracts quickly and nearly painlessly, making cataract surgery faster, safer, and more accessible than it had ever been before. She was the first African-American woman to receive a medical patent in the United States. She co-founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness. She spent years fighting for access to patients in underserved communities who were going blind from treatable conditions simply because no one was treating them. She was fighting on another front, too. Access to the operating rooms, the laboratories, and the institutions that did not want her in them. She faced explicit discrimination at Columbia University and at UCLA, where she eventually became the first woman to chair an ophthalmology residency program in the United States. Her laser phaco probe has been used to restore sight to people who had been blind for decades. There are people alive today who saw their grandchildren for the first time because of her device. She died in 2019. Her name deserves to be said in the same sentence as the men whose medical patents made them famous. It is not. Number 9. Grace Hopper, 1952, software. Here's what computing looked like before Grace Hopper. You wrote code in machine language, ones and zeros, the raw binary language of the hardware itself. You had to understand the specific architecture of each individual machine. You could not write a program for one computer and run it on another. Every program was written from scratch for every machine. Grace Hopper changed that. She wrote the first compiler, a program that translates human-readable code into machine language automatically. Before her compiler, programming required fluency in machine language. After it, programming became something far more people could do. Every piece of software ever written since 1952 runs on the principle she established. She also coined the term debugging. In 1947, a moth flew into the relay of a Harvard Mark II computer and caused a malfunction. She taped it into the logbook with the note, "First actual case of bug being found." The word was in use before her, but she made it stick. Rear Admiral Grace Hopper served in the U.S. Navy until she was 79 years old. She received the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously in 2016. There is a U.S. Navy destroyer named after her. The entire digital world runs on the logic she built. Most of the people running it could not tell you who she was. Number 8 is the one we started with. But there is something about her story we have not told you yet. Number 8. Melitta Bentz, 1908. The coffee filter. You already know part of this story. Here is what you don't know. Before her invention, coffee was boiled with the grounds directly in the water, muddy, bitter, full of sediment. Or it was made with linen bags that were difficult to clean, and retained old coffee oils that made every cup taste stale. It was not just a preference problem, it was the state of coffee for centuries. Melitta Bentz solved both problems with blotting paper and a punched brass pot. The filter was clean, disposable, and cheap. The coffee came out clear. You could taste what it actually tasted like without the interference of the brewing method. She registered the patent in December 1908. She and her husband began selling the filters at a Leipzig trade fair. In the first year, they sold 1,200. By 1928, the company had 60 employees. She was known for treating her employees well. She instituted Saturday half-days and a Christmas bonus before either was common practice in Germany. The Melitta company still exists. It still makes filters. The entire pour-over coffee movement, every artisan coffee shop, every specialty roaster obsessing over bloom time and grind size, is built on the foundation she laid in her kitchen in 1908 with a piece of her son's school notebook. She was not erased. She built something that outlasted her. She is the exception on this list, and we opened the video with her because she is the most universal, the one whose invention every viewer used this morning. She gets her full entry here because the exception proves the pattern. When a woman was able to build and protect and own what she made, it survived. Most of them were not able to. 8 women, 8 inventions in your house, your car, your phone, your morning cup. And we are only halfway. The second half is where it gets harder to hear. Number 7. Margaret Knight, 1868. The paper bag. The flat-bottomed paper bag. The one that stands upright. The one that made grocery shopping possible at the scale it operates today. The one in your kitchen right now. Margaret Knight invented the machine that makes it. Before her machine, paper bags had pointed or envelope bottoms that could not stand upright and could not hold much weight. She designed an iron folding mechanism that would automatically fold and glue a flat square bottom as the bag was made. She built a working wooden model in 1867. She then had a machinist build an iron version. The machinist's name was Charles Unnamed. He filed a patent for the machine before she could. His argument was that a woman could not have designed something so mechanical and complex, and therefore the idea must have originated with him. She sued him. She produced her notebooks, her drawings, her correspondence, and testimony from the people who had watched her build the wooden model for months. She won. She received the patent in 1871 and licensed it to the Eastern Paper Bag Company. She went on to hold over 20 patents in her lifetime, in machinery, rotary engines, and shoe manufacturing equipment. Charles Annan's name is not remembered. Margaret Knight's almost isn't either. But the bag standing in your kitchen is hers. Number 6. Shirley Ann Jackson, 1970s. The modern telephone network. She never filed a single patent for a consumer product. What she did was more fundamental than that. Shirley Ann Jackson, the first African-American woman to earn a PhD from MIT, spent the 1970s conducting research at Bell Laboratories into the theoretical physics of subatomic particles. Her research into the properties of electrons and their behavior at interfaces directly enabled the development of the technologies that Bell Labs engineers then built into products. Caller ID, call waiting, the fax machine, fiber optic cables used in telecommunications, solar cells capable of powering satellites. All of these emerged from the research pipeline that her theoretical work made possible. She did not build any of those things. She did the physics underneath them. And because she did the physics rather than the engineering, her name is not on the patents. The patents belong to the engineers who applied what she had worked out. That is how basic research works. That is also why the people who do it are rarely remembered by the people whose lives they changed. She is currently the president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. She is one of the most distinguished scientists in the history of her field. Ask 10 people who made caller ID possible, and none of them will say Shirley Ann Jackson. Number 5 is different. She was not a scientist. She was a nurse who came home alone at night and was tired of being afraid. Number 5. Marie Van Brittan Brown, 1966. The Home Security System. Queens, New York, 1966. Marie Van Brittan Brown is a nurse who works night shifts. Her husband Albert works irregular hours. Their neighborhood has a high crime rate and slow police response times. She comes home alone at night to a house she cannot always be sure is safe. She designs a solution. 3 camera lenses mounted at different heights on the front door to accommodate people of different heights. A monitor inside the house, a 2-way microphone, a remote-controlled door lock, a button that could contact the police directly. She patents it in 1969 with Albert as co-inventor. The patent is cited in virtually every subsequent patent for home security systems filed in the United States. The Ring doorbell, the Nest camera, every professionally monitored home security system, every CCTV camera on a residential property, every remote door lock. The entire architecture of modern home security descends directly from the system. A black nurse designed in Queens because she was afraid to come home alone at night and no one was going to help her. She received an award from the National Scientist Committee. She died in 1999. The industry her patent built is worth over $50 billion annually. Her name is worth nothing to the people profiting from it. Number 4. Alice Ball, 1915. The only treatment for leprosy. She was 22 years old when she solved a problem that had defeated medicine for centuries. Alice Ball was a black chemist at the University of Hawaii in 1915. She developed an injectable form of chalmugra oil, derived from a plant that had long been used in traditional medicine in Asia, that the body could actually absorb and use. Before her method, chalmugra oil was applied topically or given orally, and both methods were largely ineffective. Her injectable preparation worked. It was the first effective treatment for leprosy in medical history, and remained the only effective treatment for 30 years, until sulfa drugs replaced it in the mid-1940s. She died in 1916 at the age of 24 before she could publish her research. Her supervisor, Arthur Dean, published her method without crediting her. He named it the Dean method. For years it was known as the Dean method. It took decades for her name to be restored to her own discovery. The University of Hawaii awarded her a posthumous Medal of Distinction in 2007, 91 years after her death. She solved leprosy at 22. She was dead at 24, and for most of the following century, her supervisor's name was on her work. Number 3. Rosalind Franklin, 1952. The structure of DNA. In May 1952, Rosalind Franklin and her graduate student, Raymond Gosling, produced Photo 51, an X-ray crystallography image of DNA so clear and precise that it revealed for the first time, unambiguously and conclusively, that DNA had a double helix structure. Franklin's colleague Morris Wilkins showed Photo 51 to James Watson without her knowledge or consent. Watson and Francis Crick used the information in it, combined with data from a Medical Research Council report on Franklin's laboratory that was shared with them, again without her knowledge, to build their model of DNA. They published it in Nature in April 1953 without acknowledging Franklin's contribution. Watson, Crick, and Wilkins were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1962. Rosalind Franklin died of ovarian cancer in 1958, 4 years before the prize was awarded. Nobel Prizes are not given posthumously. In his memoir, published in 1968, Watson described Franklin in terms that remain among the most openly contemptuous accounts of a scientific colleague in the published record. Her photograph found the double helix. Her name was not on the prize. The structure of every living thing on Earth was mapped using her work. She died without knowing what had been taken from her. Number 2. Dr. Frances Oldham Kelsey, 1960. Every American child born between 1960 and 1962. In September 1960, a pharmaceutical company called Richardson Merrill applied to the FDA for approval to market thalidomide in the United States. Thalidomide was a sedative already widely sold in Europe, West Germany, Canada, and other countries as a treatment for morning sickness in pregnant women. The FDA assigned the application to a new reviewer named Frances Oldham Kelsey. She had a PhD in pharmacology and an MD. She read the application and found it inadequate. She wanted more data on how the drug behaved in the human nervous system, particularly in pregnant women. She sent it back. Richardson Merrill resubmitted. She sent it back again. They applied pressure. They complained about her to her supervisors. They called her obstructionist. She sent it back a third time. In November 1961, reports began emerging from Europe of an epidemic of severe birth defects, malformed or absent limbs, in children born to women who had taken thalidomide during pregnancy. The drug was withdrawn from European markets. It was estimated to have caused birth defects in over 10,000 children in the countries where it was approved. It was never approved in the United States because one woman kept sending the application back. Frances Oldham Kelsey received the President's Award for Distinguished Federal Civilian Service from John F. Kennedy in 1962. She continued working at the FDA until she was 90 years old. Every American child born between 1960 and 1962 whose mother might have taken that drug is alive and whole, in part because of her. She is the reason your family is whole. She does not know your name either, but you are alive and unharmed because she held a line. Number 2, protected children who will never know her name. Number 1 is every woman who never got the chance to protect anyone at all. And number 1, the unnamed ones, not a woman, a category. Every woman who walked into a patent office before 1900 and was turned away because she could not hold property in her own name in most states. Every invention filed under a husband's name because the law required it or because no one would take it seriously otherwise. Every discovery made in a laboratory where women were permitted to work but not to publish, to calculate but not to be credited, to contribute but not to be named. Every woman who solved a problem that someone else patented. The list does not end. every formula that was absorbed into a product line without a record of who derived it. Every process that became standard practice without anyone noting where it originated. We cannot count them. That is the point. We cannot go back and find the names because the names were never recorded. We cannot calculate the full cost of what was lost because the system was designed, not conspiratorially, just practically, through 1,000 ordinary exclusions to make the calculation impossible. What we know is this. For most of recorded history, roughly half the population was kept out of the rooms where credit was formally given. Half the minds, half the curiosity, half the problem-solving capacity of the human race, directed at the kitchen and the nursery and the field. Not because those places don't produce innovation. This list proves they do, but because no one was writing the patents down. The 15 women on this list are not 15 exceptional anomalies. They are 15 names that survived. They are the visible surface of something vast and largely invisible, a record of the times the name stuck, the patent held. The story was told by someone who remembered it. The unnamed ones are number one because they are the argument. Because when you look at what 15 women managed to give the world while being systematically excluded from the credit for it, central heating, Wi-Fi, Kevlar, bulletproof vests, the dishwasher, the windshield wiper, the paper bag, the telephone network, the coffee filter, cataract surgery, the home security system, the treatment for leprosy, the structure of DNA, the entire digital world, the lives of 10,000 children, you have to ask what we lost when we lost the rest of them. And then you have to sit with the fact that the answer is, we will never know. Subscribe. And tell me in the comments, which woman on this list did you already know about, and which one stopped you cold? Because the one that stops you cold is the one that tells you something about what you were and weren't taught. That is where we start next time. And if you think this list is long, we have only just begun.